Okay. I'm Marilyn Brown. I'm the president and CEO of the Coalition for the Homeless of Houston and Harris County. Now, between the early 80s and 2009, when the new legislation was signed into law of the Hearth Act, we were kind of trying to, chase the next bubble. From, beginning to end, that each individual agency had to solve all of the issues for each person who presented at their door. What happens now is we partner. Before, each one felt like they had to add the other piece, and they were doing things that wasn't their level of expertise. So by bringing everybody to the table, determining what our real needs in Houston were based on data of what we had, what we needed, and what our population what the triggers and the ways that people were experiencing homelessness in our geographic jurisdiction, we created a system and began to build those partnerships.
And the results?
And the result is it's working. Amazing. We're so happy. We actually branded it, called it The Way Home, so that everybody kind of works under this same identity of The Way Home. And since January of 2012, when the system transformation started, we have documentation of over 4,300 veterans and their families have been moved from homelessness into housing, and over 3,000 formerly chronically homeless individuals, which is a very specific definition, people who are very vulnerable, but over 3,000 of them in the 4+ years have been moved from the street, because mostly chronic individuals are most of those that are unsheltered most of the time, and they are now successfully living in housing. We are following the goals that were put forth by the federal government in their national plan to end homelessness, which was drafted to support the legislation that was passed in 2009. And the national plan is called Opening Doors. Opening Doors began in 2010 and has 10 years worth of goals. The first two being end veteran homelessness by 2015 and end chronic homelessness by 2015. They've now extended their deadline a little bit once you realize what it takes to really accomplish those goals, with the ultimate goal that we have embraced here in Houston, that by 2020 we will have transformed the system such that no person will need to be without permanent housing for longer than 30 days. When we use the word end, and this for that functional zero, will we end veteran homelessness? We won't end veteran homelessness until we no longer have veterans, and we will have veterans as long as we have a military. To us, what it means is we have solved veteran homelessness such that there is a solution for each veteran within 30 days who finds themselves facing homelessness. Functional zero, if you picture the playground and a seesaw, functional zero is based on what we know now of the number of veterans who will return to our community, the percentage of those who will face a housing crisis. We have stabilized the amount of housing units and supportive services so that that seesaw, that supply and demand meet.
So the goal is to be able to obviously expand the number of people that we see, expand the services, the programs within our agency. I mean, that's really the main thing, is just to expand what to be able to meet the demand. We've never been able to meet the demand. We've never had the space or the staff to meet the demand, and so now we have the opportunity to potentially meet that demand.
I have a graphic that I can send you on how people feed into our services. But it talks. We collaborate a lot with the county jail, as you know, for the Jail in Reach project. We also have the contract for the 1115 waiver, which is the supportive housing. and so that feeds into our services. Other agencies that we work with, Search, for example, when our clinic was there, certainly fed people at the Beacon.
Okay.
We have formal and informal referral. I mean, we have a formal.
Okay.
There's a form that somebody, and then John picks up the call, phone and says, "I have somebody. Can I send them over?" Here.
Okay, so you guys function as a kind of a clinic.
A primary care medical home.
Okay, primary care medical home. Oh, that's wonderful. That's a really cool. What's that acronym?
PCMH.
PCMH. Okay.
And that really mirrors what you were talking about earlier, shifting less from that crisis-based care model to the longer-term continuity of care, and trying to improve health and social outcomes through longer-term care. I think last year we served almost 7,000.
Oh,
and
God.
that was through 6,800 and something that our patients served, people served. Unduplicated.
And you're
that's all of our programs.
Okay, and then overall you have how many programs? Or active? You have broadly medical and dental. And
yes,
within that,
we are working with a coalition with permanent supportive housing.
Okay.
And then we have the Gel and Reach.
Okay.
And underneath that, another program, Healthy and Whole, which is a prostitution recovery project.
Okay.
And then we have a transportation. Well, I mean, all of our services are geared in a very unique way to this population. Okay. So our clinical model is different than most clinics.
I described it, and I don't know if this is appropriate, if you guys feel comfortable with this, but it's a recognition that case managers effectively are basically life coaches for,
I don't know if it helps, but our entire setup for the medical and dental is based on exactly that, so that behavioral, am I saying that right? Great. That the behavioral therapist could come into the room where the patient's being seen by a doctor.
Okay.
So you'll see when they take you up there. I mean, the whole clinic is designed around this model.